In 1987, Oprah Winfrey read a book that would go on to change her life. As a result of the unexpected lesson that she learned from that book, something emerged from her that would remain fresh and urgent and compelling, that would drive how she sees life 38 years later. The book that she fell in love with was a novel by Toni Morrison called Beloved. And when she read Beloved, she just said, "Oh my God, this is my book. I love this book. I love Beloved so much, I have to make a major motion picture of this book, and I'm going to be the star." Now, Toni Morrison had never allowed any of her books to become a movie. But Toni Morrison succumbed to the persuasive powers and persistence and charm of Oprah Winfrey, and she agreed. So Oprah Winfrey, in 1987, starts making this film. She uses all of her contacts in the entertainment industry. She gets the film to get made. She gets the studio to invest $80 million in making it. And it takes 10 years to make. 10 years to make. The film finally comes out in 1998, 10 years and $80 million later. And the final product was very long, over 3 hours. It was hard, it was sad, and did not have a happy ending. The subject of Beloved is, what is it like to be a slave? What is it like to be an enslaved person? What does slavery do to the neshama, to the soul of the enslaved person? How does having been an enslaved person shape your psyche and how you see the world? And more, what does it do to the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of an enslaved person, even when slavery is over? So it was a not easy film, which raised not easy questions, and the film did not have a happy ending. So how did it do? So a guy named Alan Stone, who was then a professor of law and psychiatry at Harvard Law School, went to see the film on its opening weekend at Harvard Square Theater, Olav Hashalom. Sadly, that theater no longer exists, but it was there in 1998. And Alan Stone goes with two good friends to see Oprah's big movie. Everybody knew 10 years. Everybody knew $80 million. So how did it go? So this is what Alan Stone wrote about the experience of seeing it on opening weekend. 10 minutes into the film, I began to hear audible groans from my two companions, who subsequently predicted Beloved's demise at the box office. They hated the film. They could not follow it. Baffled by the narrative, they, like most filmgoers, missed the experience that Oprah wanted them to have. So Alan Stone's friends would prove prophetic. The film that took 10 years to make was out of the theaters within 4 weeks. It didn't last a month. The film that the studio spent $80 million making brought in $22 million, so the studio took a bath. And what was particularly painful for Oprah Winfrey is that she had used all of her platforms to urge people to see this movie, and on the first weekend, it was handily beaten at the box office by a horror flick called The Bride of Chucky. So, and then it was pulled a few weeks later. So here, Oprah Winfrey was completely invested in it. She loved this book. She believed in this book. She loved this film. She believed in this film. She gave it her all, and the universe said, no. The Bride of Chucky. And she writes that what she did as a result was she fell into a depression. She didn't leave her home, and she got comfort from comfort food. Her comfort food, she writes about this, was macaroni and cheese. She just stayed home, licked her wounds, and ate macaroni and cheese. And then she writes that she had an epiphany in this hard season, that I've done a lot of shows about depression. I've done a lot of shows, Oprah said, about other people who were depressed. And I had never been depressed. And she realizes, I'm depressed. Depression isn't a show. Depression is what I am right now. And this is what it feels like to be depressed. Now, this happened in 1998. Why am I telling you this today? So I've shared before what I find a very powerful teaching by the author John Maxwell, who writes that life's greatest lessons always come from our failures and not from our successes. John Maxwell is a big writer. He's written a bunch of books, a bestseller. And he talks about, I've shared this before, that he talks to people about what is the greatest life lesson that you ever learned? And the answer is always from a failure, from a setback, from an adversity, never from a success. And so what John Maxwell teaches is that the more painful a failure, the more important it is to extract a life-enhancing lesson from that failure. And that's just what Oprah Winfrey did. Roll the film from 1998 to 2023. And Oprah Winfrey co-authors a book with Arthur Brooks, who's a professor at Harvard, and his field is the study of happiness. And Arthur Brooks and Oprah Winfrey write a book called Build the Life You Want, The Art and Science of Getting Happier. Build the life you want, the art and science of getting happier. And in that book, in 2023, Oprah Winfrey tells the story of Beloved, how she read Toni Morrison's novel, how she utterly fell in love with it, how she totally believed in it, how she wanted to make a movie, how she had to persuade the author and raise money from the studio and give it her all for 10 years, and then how it was beaten out at the box office by The Bride of Chucky, and that the movie died within a month. And then how she fell into a depression, and she ate a lot of macaroni and cheese. And then she said, I learned my life lesson. This is just so powerful. Be totally invested in your effort and learn to disconnect from the outcome. Be totally invested in your effort, because your effort, you can totally control. Your effort, that you care, that you give, that you work, that you do, that you take it seriously. You can bring that and you can control that. And then disconnect from the outcome, because very often we have no control over the outcome. These are her words. The failure of Beloved taught me, I'm quoting, to never again, never, ever again put all of your hopes, expectations, eggs in the basket of box office. Do the work as an offering, and then whatever happens, happens. Do the work as an offering, and then whatever happens, happens. In other words, it's a complex double move. Hold on, and then let go. Be completely invested in, and then disconnected from the result. Give it your all, and then be Zen if your all doesn't get the job done. Now, who here would not benefit from being able to do Oprah Winfrey's double move? We're a trial lawyer, and we just work 18-hour days, weeks in a row, to prepare the trial. And then we prepare the trial, and we're just living it, and we do our best, and we try the case of our life, and we have no control over whether the jury buys it. We're a doctor. We take medicine super seriously. I mean, you've seen Pitt. You've seen about the emergency room. You take medicine super seriously. And we work hard, and we bring the best medicine, and we bring the best science. And we cannot control whether the treatment that we've prescribed is going to help our patient recover. We're a teacher. We take the art of teaching super seriously, and we prepare lesson plans that are meticulous. And we cannot control whether that lesson lands. You're in sales. You have a big presentation. You prepare your sales report, your presentation, and it's ticked and it's tied, and you got charts, and you got graphs, and you got stories, and you got statistics. Never a story without a statistic, never a statistic without a story. And it's ticked, and it's tied, and it's polished, and it's refined, and there's humor, and there's pathos, and you give it your all. No control over whether the client is buying it. And that same phenomenon, we care so much, and we work so hard, and we can control so little of the outcome. Lord, isn't that true in our personal lives? We bring children into the world, and we love them, and we raise them, and we give them all of our energy, and all of our wisdom, and all of our strength, and all of our support. Take everything. Take my life. Take my energy. We care about you more than anything. And then they make their way, and they encounter struggles that they don't have the answer for, and that we don't have the answer for. And we take kabed et avicha v'erimecha seriously, being dutiful adult children to our adult parents, and we care, and we love, and we call, and we come around. But our aging parents don't have the answer for aging. And neither do we. Oprah's double move is super hard to do. It is easy to care and to work and to be devastated when it doesn't work out. And it is easy not to care and not to work and not to be devastated because you don't care. But it is really hard to care a lot, to work a lot, to give every fiber of your being, and then not to care when it doesn't work out. And I think Oprah's double teaching finally turns on a light for me to explain one of the top 10, one of the top 3 rabbinic teachings. You've all heard this all your lives. And I never really got it till reading Oprah's story. It's from Rabbi Tarfon. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin lehi batel mimenu. It's not incumbent upon you to finish the task, but neither are you free to desist from trying. Not incumbent upon you to finish because there's just variables and outcomes about the universe. The universe is so big and we're so small we can't control it. But we should still care and still work and still do at the same time. So here's my question. How do we do that? If we really care and if we're really invested, how do we disconnect from the outcome? Now, usually, rabbis are very poor at answering how questions. We're pretty good at saying what and really bad at saying how. But I actually learned something from our Pesach Seder that can help address this question. How do I really work and really care and really be invested in the effort and disconnect from the outcome? How do we do this? So here's the lesson I learned from our Pesach Seder. One of the nights we had as an icebreaker, what is the Mitzrayim that you want to leave behind? What is the narrow place that you want to leave behind? And one of the participants at our Seder said, the Mitzrayim that I want to leave behind is the need for external validation. The Mitzrayim I want to leave behind, I don't want to be addicted to other people's compliments. If I get the compliments, I feel good, and if I don't get the compliments, I feel bad, and if I get silence, I stop being addicted to compliments. I don't want to care about that feedback. I want to be self-motivated, and I want to be self-validating. And if the offering I've offered is enough for me, it's enough. And if other people like it or they don't like it, I am training myself not to care. That's the Mitzrayim that I want to leave behind this year. Now, let me say this. If you can do that, then it's going to add to the sustainability of whatever work or relationship you're doing that for. So there's a great writer named Roger Rosenblatt, who's also an essayist, and he recently wrote a piece in the New York Times entitled, How to Be a Happy 85-Year-Old. And Roger Rosenblatt says, I am a happy 85-year-old. And one of the pieces of wisdom he had in this piece that really resonated for me is, do not listen to the cheers. Do not listen to the jeers. Do not listen to the yays. Do not listen to the boos. Listen to the beat of your own heart. And if your offering is good for you and you believe in it, you're good. And he then tells the story of the Celtics great Bill Russell. As you know, Bill Russell led the Celtics to championship after championship. And he did so in a season when Boston struggled with racism. And famously and infamously, while Bill Russell is leading the Celtics to championships, there are Boston fans saying horrific and horrible and ugly things to him. And he still plays, and the team still wins. And one day, his daughter says to him, Daddy, how can you play for a town that jeers you? And Bill Russell said, I don't listen to the jeers, and I don't listen to the cheers. I play for myself. And Roger Rosenblatt, channeling that, says that if you believe in your offering, if you believe in your work, that is worth a truckload of compliments. So, here's my message to you on the seventh day of Pesach. Make your offering and then let it go. If we believe in what we do, that is all the validation we need. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.